Thank you. Thank. 'Cause I 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 ' Thank Hello, everyone. I'm the okayest bassist, and this is the Basics Volume 68. My headphones were off. Think that fixed it. Nope, it sure didn't. Cool. I have no monitor, so there's that. Turn that off for now. So this is, I'll just take that off because it's not working right now. I think they died just as the stream went live. So this is the about weekly podcast that I do. Try to do it on subjects of things I wish I had known whenever I got started, whether those be things like life lessons, lessons in the music industry, things about basses and music equipment in general. A lot of times I try to, well, basically every time, I try to get someone who isn't me to come on here to do the lesson, especially people who are better at certain techniques, which is every technique, and people who are more knowledgeable and learned in this wonderful topic that's called playing bass. Um, Unfortunately, no one was available to come this week. Usually, as summer gets here, people have more free time and they're usually able to do more. I am considering possibly changing the day or time for these. I don't know when, but I'll see if anyone has days or times that are more workable for them. But as of today, I have two things that I did want to uh, kind of touch on, talk on, things like that. So, one is on my series I've been doing, What's the Wind, which is about string comparison. I simply play basically the same riffs or parts of a song with the strings freshly installed. They're not broken in. It's what it would sound like if it was brand new out of the box. You put them on, stretch them out, tune them up, you're done. And in doing so, I've had some people who have asked me either in comments or in private messages questions about those strings more than what the sound samples can give. So I sat down, broke it all down into three. When I review a bass like this wonderful Spectre Dimension, um, I break them down into uh, what I call the four P's: playability, parts, practicality, and purchasability. Well, for What's the Wind, I have come up with the three T's, which are tension, tactility, or how tactile the string is, and length. There's a T there. So there's still three T's. I couldn't come up with another way to say length. So those are those. I'm going to see if this will work this week and share the screen. Yep, that's definitely a screen. Um, there it is, sharing the screen. Can we see? There we go. So it's probably really tiny. I tried to figure out a way for it to zoom, and it doesn't want to. So may have to zoom in, may just have to listen. I don't know. So our three T's again: tension, tactile, and length. So some of these have released, a lot of them have not. So surprise for which strings are upcoming if you're watching this either live or recorded. So the SIT power flats. So on length or tension being the first one, this isn't necessarily a good or bad. This is, would I say that the tension is average? Three is an average. So that's in the middle of tension of any strings that I've played. If the tension is higher, that means it has more tension. So a four is more tense, I guess. I mean, I don't know a better way to say it. It's harder to pluck the strings, they are more firm. The higher that number, three is good. Three is good, excellent. I prefer lower tension strings to higher tension. I don't want anything that's super floppy, but I prefer something that's not taking a whole lot of effort to pull across that string. So for the SIT power flats, three. They're not like D'Addario chromes, which I do like chromes. I like the feel of them, the fact that they're not super highly polished. I like, but the chromes do have higher tension. Power flats have about the same tension you'd expect on a standard set of rounds, at least in my experience and opinion. For how tactile they feel, two. They're an unpolished flat. One would be something that's highly polished, like we will get to in a minute, but like these labella flats that I have on here, um, which this is multi-scale, so it's on a separate section, but they are. polished, not super polished. I've had some that were flat slick to play. But the power flats, they are smooth, but they're not slick. So 2 out of 5 there. And then on length, 5. What I mean by length is there are some strings that are made for a 34-inch scale instrument, and that's it. That's all you're going to get. Not if you happen to have gotten a 35-inch. I've had strings that are short to the point where the silks are just touching the nut. Um, so that's of concern. So power flats, average tension, um, smoother than your standard string. I count a standard string as your average nickel or steel round wound. So the unpolished flats get a 2. On the SIT foundations, also a 3 on tension. Their average tension seems wonderful, nice and comfy. On how tactile those strings are, I gave them a 4. They felt more grip to my fingers than does a standard round. I felt like my finger was getting more purchase on the string, not in a bad way. It wasn't like trying to pluck a steel cable. It was comfortable enough that I give it a 4. It wasn't bad where I would give it like a 5. And then on length, it's a 5. They're good. I'm pretty sure you could install the standard power flats, foundations. Anything with a 5, I think, would work on a 35-inch scale, maybe even a 35 and a half. Next, we have the SIT power wounds. 3, 4, 5. Again, the same order as I'm sorry, the fusion wound and the power wound both. So except for the flats, they all get the same thing on all 3. They all have about the same tension. They all have the same length. I think they would all install on a 35-inch scale fine. And then all of the SITs felt like my finger could get a good purchase. I didn't feel like it was slipping off the string. I'm not a rounds preferrer. I prefer tapes over anything, but I do prefer flats if they're full steel, like full metal strings. So they have a little more grip to them than what I would say is the average, but it wasn't in a bad way. The next one, the Ernie Ball Cobalts. On the tension of those, they were higher. I would say they were close to chromes, maybe just slightly off from chromes. They weren't awful to the point where playing them felt uncomfortable, and that was on the bongo. So 34-inch scale, standard, parallel fretting. It's not multi-scale. So if you were to put those on a 35, I would fear they may have so much tension they'd be uncomfortable. But if you like high tension, then they are great for that. Tactility, they are super grippy. I played them. I liked how they sounded. They were super tactile on my fingers. Like while I was playing, there were times I felt like I couldn't get my finger off the string. Like it felt like my finger was stuck in place, just from the amount of friction. So I give that as a warning. If you want something that you're gonna pull off that string and know that you've pulled off of it, then cobalts are good for you. I did find them to be shorter than than I typically would want. Not so much the string side with the silk, but the total string. The what is it? Is it the G on the D? On the D string of the bongo, I almost didn't have to cut the string. Now it has a very long headstock and it's a 4-to-1. So if you were to have a 5 on one side, 5-string bass, the cobalts, what I had at least, might end up having a problem where you might not have enough string, or if you do, it's going to be barely enough to get on that post. Now, this could just be the set that I had, but just, that's I'm here to tell you what I've done so you can try yourself or avoid if you think that it's worth avoiding. The next one I had were strings by or Aurora, sorry. Um, Oddly enough, I got them for half price at NAM, and I told them, they asked what color I wanted. I said, I don't really care what color, whatever you got. Just something that's 5 string that you guys would recommend. They were out of some new type they wanted me to try, because they were at the point of packing up a few minutes before the show had fully ended. Um, so they reached in a box. I'd already paid somebody. They reached in a box. They grabbed a set of 5 strings, tossed them to me. I put them in my bag and didn't realize until I'd left they were silver colored strings. So they looked completely normal. So the whole point of the strings by Aurora being colors, I didn't get that experience. But anyway, on to their rating. Tension was even, where I would expect everything. On tactility, I gave it a 3 plus. It wasn't so much that they were more tactile, but they do have a coating. So there is some grip stuff to their coating. It wasn't to the point where I felt like the fusions and the SIT rounds where I felt like there was a decent grip to my finger. It was more so it felt pretty normal, but I could tell there was something on that string. There was some resistance, but not like a metal resistance, if that makes sense to anybody. Maybe I'm just dumb and don't know the uh, words that I should be using. Um, on the Aurora and then on the length, same thing. Um, the D string on the bongo, it was a bit short. So just again, could have just been the one that I got, but it is something I feel to advocate in the event you get it. You can't say it was my fault. Next one down would be the Labella Deep Talking Flats. So on the tension, they did seem to have slightly more tension. They were a pretty stout uh, amount of tension, but on how tactile they were, I gave them a 1 plus. They weren't slick. I've had highly polished flats that almost felt like you had to curl your finger perpendicular to pull perpendicular to the string rather than just let your finger slide over the top. I've had some that I felt like you had to dig under it and almost pull it to get it to work. These weren't that, but they are very smooth and polished. So if you're wanting to play, like if you're someone who's playing really quickly and need to slide over the top of the string, there's enough texture there that you'll be good. Just bear in mind that if your fingers are wet or oily or whatever, you may have some slight problems. They're a polished flat. And then on length, perfectly fine. Exactly what I would expect. Next were the Roto Sound 88. Those are Roto Sounds tape wound. Tension was a little higher. Usually tapes have lower tension. In all the experiences that I've had, they were a little higher. Theirs were also a very smooth, almost like Labella's tapes, where they were more plastic smooth, think fishing line, as opposed to the standard D'Adarios that I play, where it's more soft, like a slick fabric, like a smooth fabric, as opposed to a smooth plastic, if that makes sense. So the labellas were about the same in tactility. Um, as the Roto Sound tapes, and then length was still fine there. Finally, of course, what's on it right now, unless I find any others, the the D'Addario ETB 92-5, their tape wound set. Tension's a little lower than normal. I love it. I gave it a 2. Tactility is a 2. They have, again, like a soft fabric-y feel as opposed to a smooth plastic feel. They feel like a really smooth, uh, I don't want to say like paracord, but almost like a smooth paracord or rope, as opposed to like a stout fishing line. So slightly less tactile than your standard string, but a little more than the labella or the roto sound. And then length, perfectly fine. Excuse me, I've installed the D'Addario tape wounds on a multi-scale that was 35 and a half. See if these connect up again. Hey, they did. How about that? I have done that with the ETB 925s for, why does it have an echo? Maybe that did it. I've done them with the ETB 925s on a multi-scale that went from 35, well, my EHB 1505 MS is, I think, 35 or 35 and a half to like 33. Perfectly fine. You do have to do I did a video on how to do it with headless, but you have to do the little super glue trick, but work perfectly fine. And then we go into multi-scale. Those don't come out until about a month from now, but hey, whatever. Really happy to have gotten this, because if you look, I don't like these particular bridge pieces, but the string just slots in. The ball just slots in and then off it goes. So it's not like the bongo where I have to pull the string all the way through, and then when I'm taking it off, I have to like straighten the end because I'm saving the strings. I've said before, if someone drops a comment saying they want a set of strings, I'll work that out because I have all of the extras just sitting over on my table. So basically, either that or I'm going to get to the point where I just put them on eBay as a used set of strings and go from there. Um, but that is what it is. Um, so on the multi-scale, we have the D'Addario NYXL, their standard set. Um, 3 on the length. They're made for 37 to 34-inch multi-scale. So like I didn't see anything that made me think, hey, these are, you know, that they were long, plenty long enough that I don't think you would have a problem. Um, Tactility 3, they're the standard everyday normal round wound. And then on the length 5, so tension, sorry, was the first one. 3, normal. Tactility, normal. They're the basically the baseline upon which I'm basing everything, and they're plenty long. Then I had the DR strings. They're coated ones. These were the blue package, the ones that are nickel for multi-scale. Again, same tension, same normal tension. They were more tactile, not as much as the cobalts, but they do have a coating and you can feel that coating. But it is a little bit, more um, that you do notice. And then length, they're made for a multi-scale, so they were great. Then the DR Steel, the Black Dragon ones. So they have a black coating. They're the same string, but in this case, these ones were steel, the other ones were nickel, so there might have been a slight audio difference, but the coating feels exactly the same. I didn't notice anything about the black coating coming off, like with setting the strings or taking them off, so it seems that coating's pretty good. Then D'Addario XS. Now, I did beta test the original betas for XS on 5 string, but those were for a 34-inch standard, not a multi-scale. So I did buy this set. All of these are things that I bought. Some were things I was given at NAMM as free samples. Some were for this. I don't think this counts as an ad, but no one asked me to advert. Well, one company did say, hey, we'll give you a set of strings, just give us a good review. So there is that. But I've already talked about those strings and I haven't said anything bad. So if I don't say anything bad, it must be a good review. Um, the D'Addario XS, they have the same. They are a coated string. I really can't tell. I can't tell that they're coated. They feel great. Tension's average, so it's good. And again, they're made for a 37 to 34 multi-scale. If you have a shorter multi-scale, I'm sure they will work. But I mean, depending if it's like 25 to 23 inch, it'll work, but you're gonna have really thick string and it's probably not gonna fit the post stripe. But anyway, finally, we have what's on here right now, the Labella Deep Talking Flats. For multi-scale, these are a custom labella set that you can get through Fret Nation. Shout out to Jason. He helped me with getting these strings. If you're ready to do an order for a Dingwall-esque 37 to 34 multi-scale and you want to try flats, reach out to Fret Nation, send them a chat through, talk to Jason. You can just order them if you want. You can also reach out to him if you have multiple strings you want to order. He'll usually help you out, cut you a deal. So good for you, Jason. The only other one that's on there, you can see it. However, uh-oh, what happened? Something happened. Where did I go? There I am. I have no idea what happened. My screen blinked when I moved my mouse. And now it says the chat is waiting for new messages. Cool. Okay. I don't know what happened. Anyway, hopefully I'm still streaming. It showed there were 2 people watching for a minute. The other ones are Pyramid. Those are my custom ordered strings that are on my D-Rock. I really don't want to take them off the D-Rock. And Pyramid isn't shipping things to the US due to the tariff situation. So might do those. As you can see, they're slated for Friday, the 29th of May. So I've got time. If that week comes up and I still haven't been able to get a set, then I may carefully pull them off the Dingwall to put them on here. The Dingwall has a 2x3, whereas this has a 3x2. So it should work because it should be, since the middle string is the longest one, it should work. I hope. If not, I'll put them back on the, I'm going to put them back on the D-Rock anyway. But I don't want to mess those up. I love those strings. But that is what it is. So that's what's going on. Oh, those are some more videos that I'm going to do. So that is that. The other thing I want to do, which is why I needed my headphones, is because this will it. Nope. How is there a full screen? I don't think this is there a full screen option. Let's go. Oh, don't do that. I don't even know what that did. Go away. Oh well. So this is a song. It's a gospel song. No matter what. I don't remember who does it. Matt Maher, maybe. Anyway, somebody wanted to put this on full screen so you could see it a little bit better. But this isn't Chrome, so I don't know how to do that. Anyway, so I apologize that it's small. You probably can't see it, but this is a song that we played at church today. I did not get to play bass, which is sad because this is like my favorite song to play on bass. I say that about like a dozen songs, but a dozen songs can be my favorite. They can all be equally my favorite. And I really like this song because it has a lot of octave playing that isn't hard, but sounds really fun. And it's not hard to play. Um, it's quite wonderful, and I like to play it. And I wanted to use it as an example. I am not willing to play the song in the background because I don't want someone suing me. And I don't know how that works with live streams, because if I'm playing a live stream and then somebody makes a claim, I'm not monetized. So I don't want to just risk there being like an immediate copyright strike, because that would be a bad. You get 3 of those ever, and I don't think I have any. So I don't want to start now. But it's a super simple pattern for it. It's two of your root and then one of the octave. So it's just so for the first ones, you're just playing each that pattern for each note twice. Then the next line is each one singly. Then back to the A. So it's super fun. Octaves, I don't think we've talked about them before. I don't have my handy dandy uh, recording phone, so I'm just going to angle this down a little bit. So for an octave, simplicity itself, you pick a note, doesn't matter what. In this case, since it's with the song, we'll go with an A. You go over two strings and up two frets. So those are an octave. So again, whatever note you're already playing, you go over two frets or over two strings, down two frets, higher, higher two frets higher. I won't say down because if you're looking at the bass this way, that way could be down. So again, you would just go back at the beginning with the words. You're going to play. We don't have to sing along to the song. It's you can imagine a drum beat. So it's just nice. It's just nice. Um, I am not a person to teach anyone about slap. I think I've done a lesson on it here. 68 episodes. Forgive me. I'm old and I'll forget more. Um, but the octaves is a lot of what you do when you're playing slap. So feasibly, you could do a thump thump pluck and play the same thing with more energy. Just so those are I prefer fingerstyle. I'm not a fan of slap. Although now that I did some, I'm gonna try forget me nots again because I keep practicing it and hopefully I'm getting better. Anyway, back to no matter what. Um, the chorus is of course a different set of notes, but it's the same pattern. So it's the that indentation is because the first time you play it, you don't play that section. You skip over it. And then it has this just cool little I just like it. So that 7 with the arch over it with the line is that it's a I think that's a slide. I like doing it as a hammer-on. Just seems more fun. And as luck would have it, definitely not engineered this way. As luck would have it, after you do that, that 5 at the end is an A. It's almost like it's the key of the song. It's crazy. So you do your little. Nope. Go right back through. It's great. Let's see here. So those were the things I wanted to show. Let me. Can I infinity? Stop. Hey, it's me. How about that? This one go away. Leave the page. Wonderful. So that one's gone. So just me again. Hi. Don't mind the stuff in the background. My mother died a year and a half ago, and we're starting to clear out her stuff. So got old pictures and stuff all over through here. So those were the two things I wanted to show and go over today. The octaves, again, they're good for slap stuff. Angle this down and scoot back because I have a lapel mic, so you'll hear me whether I'm close or not. So again, the slap stuff, I'll back up. You won't see me as well because I'm farther away, but that. If you hit the string correctly, you'll get the right noise. Anyway, so you could do it that way or just the simple. So either way, I do love this bass. Absolutely love this bass. This one, don't tell the others, but this one is probably my second favorite. Body on the Spectre, if you don't know, I'm sure you already do if you're watching me, they're curved. So they're made to curve on a fat belly. It's great. Super comfy, multi-scale. And yeah, it neck dives. It does. Should be getting better tomorrow. Because I have some Goto GB350 Resolites that are just a drop-in replacement that are only 40, I think 35 or 40 grams a piece. I don't know how much these are, but they're more than that. So, and it's not awful. I mean, it's bad. It's bad compared to the fact that I almost always play headless. But it's so comfy and it sounds so good. Just sounds good. A lot when you watch the multi. What's the wind? Because I do all of those things. I'm not any good. I'm okay, but I'm not good. Anyway, so that's what I had to cover. Been streaming for the stream's been an hour with the wait. I wonder if I run people off with a super long, but I announced that it's 6:30 p.m. for every week. So if you tune in early just because it went live, it has a countdown letting you know. And I never say how long it's going to be. When other people are here, it's way longer. So I'll go for hour, 2 hour, 3 hours if my wife doesn't throw things at me. So there you go. More stuff always coming. If you sneaked a peek when I had the list up, you see some of the videos yet to be recorded. That's just an empty box right there. That's what this came in. So don't be super excited, but there are plenty more videos coming, and I've been reached out to by some other folks about other instruments. Karel, the guy who made Gorthauer here, is now looking. He's made it his full-time job that he's going to be a luthier. He's going to start his own like standard his production model. He's still making everything by hand, so production won't be super fast, but he is making it his job, and he might be sending our little bass peeps group a demo model. Hopefully, I keep it. But anyway, so that'll be happening. Hopefully, there are a couple other bass companies supposed to be sending some stuff. So plenty of stuff coming. At this point, you should have to put up with. Oh, earthquake! You should have videos from me to put up with at least halfway through the year, maybe the whole year, once a week. I'm sure I'll be able to drum up plenty of crap. Might not be good, but it'll be okay. That's what I do. So, as always, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a day as awesome as you are.